Three Funny Tales. Retold by Edel Wignell, illustrated by Sandra Camel, Brent Puzza, and Claire Dezout. The Donkey's Egg. A French folk tale. One day, a young man called Pierre saw some pumpkins growing in a field. As he had never seen pumpkins before, he went to the farmhouse and asked the farmer what they were. "You must tell me what those big round things growing in your field are," he said. "They're donkeys' eggs," the farmer replied. Pierre was amazed. He and his wife had a hen that sat on eggs. After a few weeks, chickens hatched out of the eggs. Maybe the same thing happened with donkeys, he thought. "Donkeys' eggs," Pierre said. "I've never heard of donkeys' eggs before. Is it possible to hatch little donkeys out of those eggs?" "It certainly is," replied the farmer. "Then I'd like to buy one," Pierre said. So he bought a pumpkin and took it home to Mimi, his wife. "Look what I've bought," he said to her excitedly. "It's a donkey's egg. If you sit on it for a few weeks and keep it warm, a little donkey will hatch out." So Mimi sat on the pumpkin for 2 weeks. By then she was tired and fed up, so she said to Pierre, "Now it's your turn to sit on this egg." So Pierre sat on the pumpkin for another week. By then he was tired and fed up, too. "I don't believe this egg will ever hatch," he said to Mimi. So he took the pumpkin out into the yard and tossed it down a steep bank. As it rolled away, the pumpkin broke open and frightened a little rabbit that was sitting under a bush. The rabbit leaped out and ran off as quickly as it could. Pierre saw the rabbit. "Oh," he said. "Why didn't I sit on the egg for just a few more days? I would have had that lovely little donkey with beautiful long ears and only a tiny bit of fluff for a tail." The King and the Wrestler. An Indian folk tale. A wrestler came to the king's palace and told the king how brave and strong he was. "I can fight wild animals," he said, "and I can even walk around with a huge mountain on my head." "That's very interesting," said the king thoughtfully. He had never heard of anyone who could walk around with a mountain on their head. "No one will pay me to do this work," the wrestler continued, "so I'll come and work for you if you wish." The king was delighted to hear this because the wrestler looked strong enough to carry mountains and fight wild animals. "I'll pay you a high wage to work for me," said the king. So the wrestler started to work for the king. Near the city there was a huge mountain where many wild beasts lived. All the people in the city were afraid of them. So one day, the king called for the wrestler and said, "Remember you told me you could fight wild animals and carry a mountain around on your head?" "Yes, I remember," replied the wrestler. "Well," said the king, pointing over the city wall, "over there, not far away, is a mountain where wild beasts live. All the people in the city are afraid of them." "I can see the mountain," said the wrestler, looking toward where the king was pointing. "This is your job," said the king. "You have to take the mountain far away." "I can do that," the wrestler replied. The next day, just as the sun was rising, the king and his soldiers took the wrestler to the foot of the mountain. The wrestler flexed his muscles and stood ready to do his job. But he did not move. He did not pick up the mountain. Soon the king said, "Why are you waiting? Pick up the mountain, put it on your head, and take it far away." "But," the wrestler replied, "I told you I could carry a mountain on my head." "Yes," said the king, getting angry. "Yes, yes." The wrestler continued, "I did not say that I could lift it. First, your soldiers must pick the mountain up and place it on my head." "Oh," said the king, not knowing what to do now. "When the mountain is on my head," said the wrestler, "I will take it to any place you want." The Stolen Rope. A Chinese folk tale. One day, a man was caught by the police and put in jail. Soon, 3 of his friends heard what had happened to him. Our friend is a good man, they said. Why is he behind bars? What could he possibly have done to end up in jail? We must go and talk to him. So the three friends went to the jail to talk to their friend. The jailer was a friendly man who let them in to talk to their friend through the bars of his cell. Why are you in jail? The three friends asked. What have you done? Oh, nothing much, replied the man. I just saw a piece of old rope lying on the road, so I picked it up and took it home with me. You wouldn't be put in jail for picking up a piece of old rope and taking it home with you, said his three friends. You must have done something else as well. Well, said the man, looking down at his feet, there was a small cow tied to the other end of the rope.